about this one, so let's see how things go. Skull and Bones should release on PC, Xbox Series, PlayStation 5 and Amazon Luna. On the 8th spot we have Earth Defense Force 6. The year is 2027, only 10% of the world's population remains. Despair is in the air, everywhere you look around. Despair is in the air, every sight and every sound. You get the idea. Hey, giant ants! The 6th main game in the series is expected to be released in the spring of this year for Europe and the States. I specified this because the game was already released in Japan 2 years ago. A direct sequel to Earth Defense Force 5, the 6th game once again puts you in the role of an EDF soldier battling giant insects intent on taking over Earth. By insects I mean giant ants, wasps, bees, and lesser known creepy crawlies like a dragon or octopi. If you're wondering how are these graphics not from 2015, that's the thing with these games. They feature a bit of outdated graphics, a not at all serious story, quick, over-the-top gameplay, and presumably a lot of casual fun. Yes, the EDF games are fun and they have quite the cult following. So grab a friend or three and jetpack missile shoot your way through hordes of giant ants. Earth Defense Force 6 will be released on PC and PlayStation somewhere in the spring, presumably. Next up we have Blight Survival, a different take on the zombie survival genre, where you and up to 3 friends can team up as knights in a war-torn medieval land plagued by the Blight, a disease that turns people into frenzied medieval zombies. I mean, look at it. The game just looks amazing. The atmosphere is dark, very gritty and, dirty, desperate. Described as a combination of roguelite and extraction, Blight Survival incorporates the best of both worlds. Action-packed battles, stealth elements, a wide range of weapons, talents, armor, equipment, and of course, greed. We will extract or keep pushing, because, the good stuff is just a couple of feet away down the road, so I don't know. New ideas in genre are always welcome, but mixing For Honor and what looks like Resident Evil 4 into a extraction roguelite? I mean, who thought of that? And it looks like a no-brainer after you see the trailer. Blight Survival is one of the games on this list that I'm super excited for, but there is still no exact release date. So if you are looking forward to playing this one too, we'll have to wait some more, or a lot more. Blight Survival will release on PC. Expected to release this year is also Contra, Operation Galuga, a reimagining of the original Contra game. 80s run and gun action in its finest, but with updated graphics and sound, new foes, new bosses, new game modes, and updated weapon system. I mean, new weapons simply, flying over your head periodically was a good enough weapon system to me. Well, I'm old, and Contra was actually the first game that I actually finished on the NES, that's the first Contra. So the series had a special place in my heart, and I can't help but feel excited about this one. In addition to the upgrades I already mentioned, there will be multiple playable characters with different and distinctive abilities, stackable weapon upgrades, and multiple difficulties. Presumably with I just want to experience the story difficulty level, for all the people that want to explore the rich and interesting, intricate story of the first Contra game. Jokes aside though, this is a lot of content, so I hope it will add to the replayability of the game, because let's be honest, the first Contra game was not a long game even compared to other NES titles. You will be able to dive in the jungles and waterfalls of Contra with 1 friend in story mode and up to 3 friends in arcade mode, sometime this year on PC, Switch, all the Xboxes and all the PlayStations. Next, we have The First Descendant. Initially revealed at the Game Awards 2023, The First Descendant is a free-to-play, third-person looter shooter developed by Nexon Games. The player takes the role of a descendant, a super soldier fighting in the war against aliens. As the looter shooter part commands, you will have a wide variety of weapons and equipment at your disposal. The game had over 2 million players participating in the beta, which sounds great, and is built on Unreal Engine 5, which looks great. However, the devs of The First Descendant, Nexon Games, are mostly known for creating mobile games that are microtransactions heavy, very pay to win, etc., stuff like that. And let's be honest, the free-to-play looter shooters are a suitable genre if you want to go crazy on the microtransactions. Also, it is not uncommon for the games of this genre to release unfinished or closed servers like soon after release. I mean, Anthem is the shining example in this case, but you also have recent live service games that failed pretty fast. Suicide Squad kills the Justice League more recently, another example. A game like this needs a lot of work power to get off the ground. A good community management, customer service, a well-thought roadmap with ongoing updates. It just takes a lot of commitment from the creators. And then we have Nexon, which have been known for dropping support and service on some of their games. You know what I mean? All I'm saying is I won't be surprised if the game releases full of bugs and going straight at your money. But anyways, we're here for the co-op. The First Descendant can be played with up to 3 friends or good acquaintances with whom you can take on giant bosses in special co-op missions. The game released on PC, the Xboxes and the PlayStations. On number 4 we have Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons remake, a visual upgrade of the critically acclaimed 2013 fantasy adventure game about two brothers set on a journey to find the cure for their ill father. The remake adds fully rebuilt characters and landscapes, updated graphics, gameplay and performance, orchestral soundtrack, but also keeping the same emotional impact that will break you down like a stick. Not much information is available on what the gameplay changes will be. I'm guessing that 90-95% of the changes will be graphics and frames per second. Other than that, I can't really think of anything that needs to be altered around how the game is played. However, we won't have to wonder about it too much as the game releases at the end of February. You and a friend will be able to play or replay this epic adventure of the brothers on PC, PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. Another co-op game set to release in 2024 is Little Nightmares 3. A standalone sequel to the previous two games, Little Nightmares 3 is developed by a different studio. Although the original developer Tarsier Studios got acquired by another company, the intellectual rights for the game remained a property of Bandai Namco, who decided to move on and hand the development of the game to none other than Supermassive Games. If you don't know, Supermassive Games are the studio that stands behind games like The Quarry, Until Dawn and Dark Pictures Anthology games, so you know, a quality studio overall. Little Nightmares is a horror adventure puzzle series where the player takes control of a child making its way through a dark world filled with grotesque inhabitants. Little Nightmares 3 keeps the original gloomy and desperate atmosphere of the series while introducing two completely new protagonists, Lo and Alone. Lo is a boy with a bow and Alone is a girl with a wrench. Their equipment will help them go through obstacles, solve puzzles and battle enemies. As you've probably figured out by now, you and one of your friends will be able to take the roles of Lo and Alone. However, the game can also be played solo with the AI taking control of the other kid, but we're not here to talk about that, right? As I mentioned, each of the protagonists is equipped with different tool/weapon. One can be useful in one situation, the other in another, and some situations will call for combined brainpower. As its predecessors, a big chunk of the game is platforming and sneaking, so if you've never played any of the previous games, don't expect the full-on action game here. Little Nightmares 3 doesn't have a release date as of this moment. All we know is it is coming out sometime this year for PC, Switch, all the PlayStations and all the Xboxes. On number 2 we have No Rest for the Wicked, an isometric action RPG from Moon Studios, the award-winning developers of Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Not much is known about the game, but it has already been dubbed the best RPG of 2024. And it might be early for such claims, but I can definitely see where these are coming from. The game just looks magnificent. If you've played any of the Ori games, you know that Moon Studios create one of the most graphically impressive levels and backgrounds in the industry, and painted, detailed, live. And it seems No Rest for the Wicked will stay in the same graphics lane, the vibrant colors, the lightning, everything. The story promises to be dark and mature, revolving around a politically torn kingdom swept by an unholy plague. You play as a holy warrior who kind of sees an opportunity amongst all this to prove his devotion. The combat is satisfyingly gory and will be precision based, more of the Dark Soulsian type, with each weapon having its own moveset. Runes, armor crafting, different builds, the system that usually comes with every modern RPG will be available here also. One interesting thing, the player will be able to buy property in the kingdom and go crazy on customizing it and decorating it with flower pots and, you know, rugs, a welcome rug. Who knows? On the cooperative side though, the player will be able to play throughout the whole story with up to 3 friends. So no additional separate from the story co-op mode. You and your buddies can play through the whole game together, which is always a good thing. Moon Studios developed this game for over 6 years now, calling it their favorite project, so it is hard to not be excited for this one. No Rest for the Wicked will be available this year for PC, Xbox Series and PS5. And of course, at number 1, it's Path of Exile 2. Another free-to-play game, but this time we mostly know what to expect. Path of Exile 2 is set years after the first game, and get this, was initially conceived as a standalone expansion, branching from the main story and eventually sharing the same endgame, but grew out of this idea into a game of its own, which, you know, thank you. From what we know so far, there will be 6 new acts, over 100 bosses, over 600 monsters, 100 distinct environments, 36 ascendancy classes, 1500 passive skills, 240 active skills, 700 equipment types, 200 support gems, 12 character classes. In what world this much content is considered an expansion? Also, the graphics and the gameplay will be improved, and check this out, there will be a dodge roll. Take my money and give them back because, as I said, it's free to play. The story picks it up at Reclast, where corruption starts spreading again, and after you deal with it, you'll gain access to more than 100 endgame maps, each with a different boss at the end. As for the skills, the passive skill tree is bumped up to 1500 passive skills, and players will have access to 240 active skill gems. Now, if you've never played the original Path of Exile, or you just think it's another Diablo clone, these numbers probably just fried your brain a little bit. The current game skill tree contains 1325 passive skills, so you know, the bump is actually not that big. The gameplay trailers look straight up amazing, a world even darker and grittier, the bosses look scary. I mean, I have nothing bad to say against it, it just looks like a good game. I've played Path of Exile in cooperative mode, the game accommodates such, you know, game mode perfectly, and if you've ever played other hack and slash RPG, you will know exactly what to expect. And the cooperative mode is up to 6 players, so you know, go make more friends. Path of Exile 2's closed beta will be available on 7th of June this year on Windows, Mac and the current generation consoles. And this is it, the top 10 cooperative games that are presumably releasing this year. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, you are helping a ton. Thank you, see you next time, Cal out.